Hello everyone and welcome to today's video where we will be setting up for the month of April. I'm always really in love with April. It's a very beautiful month. It's the first full month of spring and everything is starting to bloom everywhere. Days are getting longer, a lot more sunshine, and I don't know, the season of spring always really inspires me. It always makes me happy and cheerful. I don't know, I like flowers. So, of course, that entrance into spring inspired this theme. It already kind of did with March, but more so with April. And it's the first time that I'm kind of creating a character specifically to go throughout a theme. I already did a bunny for February, but that one was really just for the cover. And for the rest of the theme, I just went along with the lily pads. But for April, I wanted to do something different, so you will find this cute little bunny throughout the theme. And as I did with both February and with March, I didn't want to make the name of the month the biggest thing on the cover page. I really wanted it to be predominantly about the illustration, and so April is really just written there on her little leg and nothing else. Also because it's kind of redundant. I realized that having the name in big bold letters was mostly a performative thing and for YouTube and Instagram, because let's be honest, I know what month I'm setting up for, and I know it predominantly for the theme and not because I have it written somewhere, you know? So yeah, I decided to ditch that sort of performative aspect of what I was doing and just go with what felt the most natural to me. If you are wondering why does that line art look kind of funky, or not funky, but different, it's the fine liner that I'm using, it's not in black, it's in sepia tone, which I didn't really consider using before. I didn't understand why you wouldn't use a black fine liner, but then I wasn't actually looking at bullet journaling or physical drawing or anything like that. I was looking at digital drawing because I'm into using Procreate and exploring it a bit more and maybe drawing digitally a bit more. And I realized that the illustrations that I like the most, the styles that I like the most, the fine line work is never in black. It's always either sepia tones or dark red and things like that, and just the color of the line helps to give the illustration a different atmosphere and make it a bit softer. And I realized that I really love that effect, so I was like, you know what, let's see if these fine liners that I love exist in other colors, and they do. This is the Winston & Newton fine liner. They're a bit pricier than your usual like Pigma or other brands, but I do really love them. So that's what I'm using here today. They also have like gray tones, and I think they have blue, and I think that other brands will have other colors. But yeah, if you're wondering or thinking about doing something different, switching something up for your drawings, maybe consider changing up the color of your fine liner. Maybe that will help you. Yeah, look at her little bunny. She's so cute. I know I'm kind of bragging about my own drawing, but I think she just turned out so cute and adorable, just lying in a bunch of flowers and carrots. I went with tulips and daffodils, honestly, because those are just the flowers that I was seeing everywhere that I went that had flowers. And yeah, and the carrots because, well, it's a bunny. But yeah, the flowers were purely inspired by what was around me. And, well, the carrots because it's a little rabbit, and I thought that the colors looked really cute together. And so, yeah. For the colors, I wanted this to be colorful, but I also didn't want the colors to be so saturated that they would look too bright, I guess. I wanted them to be a little bit muted so that they went really well with the sepia tones, but not muted to the point where they're not colorful. It was a weird balance to find, but I think I went with good choices. I think they look cute. I think they work really nice together. If anyone is interested, I will probably leave the colors that I'm using in the description box. If I end up not doing that, and if you're interested in knowing which markers that I'm using, just let me know in the comments and I'll reply to you. But yeah, this is my little bunny. I'm using this Crayola one, and I'm using basically a big mixture of markers. I'm using Lyra, I'm using Tombow, I'm using the Crayola one, and the Winston Newton finally. But yeah, more details on that in the description box if I'm a good girl and I remember to put that in there. But yeah, moving on to the next spread. I decided to do my monthly there on the left to change things up and try something different, really. And I wanted to make different spreads this month. If you've been here for a little while, you will know that I'm always making different spreads every single month. And you know what? It's just because life isn't stagnant, and so I feel like if life isn't stagnant, your bullet journals shouldn't be stagnant, and at the end of the day, your bullet journal should reflect the things that you need every month, or in that month that you're setting up for. So if you need to change out the layout of your basic spreads every month, by all means, do that. If you need to explore different things every month to be able to maintain the routine of using a bullet journal so that you're excited to do that. Even if you have a channel, if you have like any type of social media or anything that is dependent on your bullet journal, do that. Who knows, you might actually be helping someone have new ideas and be a bit more creative and productive with their bullet journal. Here I'm repeating actually. This is the only spread that I'm full on repeating from last month because it worked really nicely, and it's my info dump spread, where basically it's kind of like a brain dump, but I have 3 sections that I know for sure I'm going to want to have some space to write them down, and then I'm leaving a blank option, big blank option, should I need more space to write other things down. So I have synchronicities, because I often see like repeating numbers, or I will see, I don't know, a name that kind of follows me throughout the day, or a song that's stuck in my head, things like that. I like to write them down just because I often find that they turn out to be relevant a little bit later on. And then I believe I have health and work in YouTube. Yes, that's what I do. That's what I have on there. Those are usually the 3 things I like to have a separate box for, and then whatever else comes to mind, anything that I might have to write down, I'll put in the big space on the right there. And then it's my productivity page, which I have decided to change up. This change was actually inspired by a book that I read recently. The book, it's a self-help book. Yeah, I know, we're going there. The book is called The Mountain Is You. I think the author is named Brianna West. I could be wrong on the last name, but I do know that she's Brianna. She says something there that really hits home with me. She talked about having principles for your life, and basically in the sense that she kind of compared this to how nature and farming works. Like, for example, if you have a garden or that you plant, right? There's a certain time and a certain rhythm to everything. If you have to plant seeds, you will have to plant them in a certain season, because you need those seeds to be in the ground at the right time for them to be able to germinate, so that they can then grow properly, and then you can harvest them properly. There is no wiggle room, let's say, with those things. If the crops need to be planted in spring, you can't just go around that and plant them in fall. So her idea is that is a basic principle that's brought to us by nature, right? The idea is that you should have principles for yourself. And that is to say, if you have set the principle for yourself that you are going to be more dedicated to reading, let's say, If you are a dedicated reader, then you should make room in your life for you to read. Because in the same logic that the farming was going on, if you need to plant those seeds, and that is a mandatory thing that you have to do at that time, you need to be able to make the time to do that. You need to set the time aside to do that. That is a priority for you. So if your principle is that you are an avid reader now, you need to set the time to make that actually happen. And so she said something like, when you have your principles in order, you know what you're going for, and people that are dedicated will make plans, people that aren't dedicated will make excuses. That hit home for me. And so I decided that from now on, I'm always going to have principles. I feel like having big, bold principles for your life, it's a bit too much. I feel like we're always changing and growing and going through different phases that might need different things. So I realized that, you know what, maybe having a set of principles for each month, and I will dedicate myself in themes to those things. So I'm feeling like some of my principles will be actually the reading thing. I do want to get back into reading a bit more. I want to be more dedicated to working out and eating well. I want to take care of my body, so that will be a thing. And I also want to be a bit more mindful of how I actually invest in myself in a several different ways, be that in time, in money, and how I treat myself and how I feed myself. Basically being aware of how I nurture myself in different ways. Because ultimately, if I want to be able to do certain things, I need to take care of myself so that I'm physically and mentally capable of doing them. You know? So if you needed to hear that, or if you needed that reminder, there you go. Take good care of yourself if you want to do things. You can't beat yourself up for not doing things if you are not giving yourself the room and the conditions to do that. Okay? Sorry for the pep talk. Or welcome. Take whichever option you prefer. Going on to a different spread that I haven't really done this like that before. This is a sleep and mood tracker. I decided to put them both in one page. I've done them before side by side, but usually it's like one in each page. And I did the mood tracker a lot bigger. It was usually a line a day tracker where I would put the mood and I would have a phrase that I would write for each day. But I'm wanting to be a little bit more minimal with the things that I fill out in my bullet journal. So I wanted to have just the sleep log, basically where I will highlight the hours that I've slept through, and I will just make a little dot each day for the mood and then connect it with a line so that I kind of have a line graph for the mood, and I will have those side by side because usually sleep affects your mood and vice versa. So this actually gives me an idea of what is going on health-wise and health and mood-wise and how I'm bringing that on through my sleeping pattern. I work in shifts, though I don't do night shifts, so I will just rotate. The earliest that I get to work is 8, and the latest I get off of work is 11 p.m. It isn't a major shift difference, but it is enough to mess up my sleep schedule sometimes, so I'm trying to be a bit more mindful of that and trying to control it and keep it stable whenever I can, and kind of just help myself go through that change in rhythm, so to speak. If you're wondering, why did you already have the numbers filled in? Because it's tedious as holy moly to have someone go over a bunch of numbers on camera, and also it's really tedious for me because it's something that I really don't need to do while I have a filming setup prepped. It's something that I can easily do when I'm like at 11 p.m. doing nothing and I can just kind of save up that filming time. And there's no need. You guys don't want me to be here for God knows how long filling out a bunch of tiny numbers. There's no point. The drawing part is more fun. But yeah, for the habit trackers, I decided to incorporate a different one next to the usual habit tracker situation. I want to have one specific for exercise because I don't want to just track when I do it. I want to track the duration of said activity. Also, I didn't want it to be a full-blown did I do this every single day kind of thing, because I fully believe that you need rest days when you're exercising, just to keep yourself, well, mentally sane and to keep yourself physically well. It's important to let your body rest. And so I wanted to have an option where there's a valid option for the exercise time to be 0 that day. I just want to track how consistently I'm exercising and for how long. If there is an increase in time, because I want to build up my stamina and to be able to do it for longer periods of time. So I want to track that. And yeah, so it's more of a how am I doing rather than have I done this every day. I didn't want to be hard with myself in that regard, especially because it is a habit that I'm building. I'm more so focused on building the habits in a steady and sustainable way now than I am to force myself to fulfill a habit every single day for the month. It's easier to just let yourself naturally fall into it and be kind of easy on yourself, rather than just force yourself. You're bound to fall back if you just force yourself to do something that you don't want to do. And if you're looking for any tips on how to build a habit, point one, if it's something that you hate doing, it's probably not going to work. Try to find a way that, even if it's something that's unpleasant for you, you can find a way that you enjoy doing, to actually get on with it. For example, in my case, I've come to realize that the things that I like the most to do as far as working out is like Pilates, yoga, going on walks, and cardio stuff, like cardio videos on YouTube. And I'm 100% not a gym person. Oftentimes I would try to make myself work out by going to the gym, and that would fail miserably because I'm not a gym person. I don't like the environment. I don't like gym type workouts. I don't like being on machines. And so that failed because I'm increasing the stress factor of trying to do something that you don't usually do by it also being something that I do not enjoy doing. And so if you find out what it is that you actually like that you could do as that habit, that would make your life a whole lot easier. I find that if I'm trying to make it more pleasant for myself, I will do it. And also because cardio gives me faster results. So if I have faster results, that will keep me a lot more motivated to keep it up. Rather than if, for example, I'm just doing yoga. Yoga will kick your butt if you're doing it right, but yoga will be a little bit slower to give you results. And if you're not seeing any, let's say, rewards for your efforts, it's also a lot easier to fall back. So there are some pointers on habit building if you needed that. If you don't, never mind me. Maybe it will help you, I hope. Maybe not. If you have any tips on building habits, I would actually really appreciate it if you would leave them in the comments. I'm down for it, and I believe that in this community that is bullet journaling, people are down for tips on how to be more productive and more on top of their game, I guess, and to just learn new things about how we can improve as people like us. So if you have any tips, they would be most appreciated. Please and thank you. Going in for weeklies. This is a twist on how I did them last month in March, but I wanted to have more space to actually write things down for each day this month. So I decided to remove the boxes for the sleeping tracker that was in the one spread as you saw. I also wanted to remove the pages for the reading log because I will have that in my setup for this year. This bullet journal setup if you've noticed, is already in a new notebook, which I've started to set it up, but that post will be coming soon after this. For now, you guys have the April one, and then the transition into new bullet journal will come, and that will have a reading log tracker for the year. So that's why this is in here. Yeah, going on, there's our little bunny again. I really loved having her like this, with her back to me, and then with her little twisted head. I thought it was so cute. If you're wondering, why do you have week 14 and week 15, I like tracking weeks by the number of the week. This is something that used to happen at one of my previous jobs. I worked at H&M, and I think it's a thing in Norway and Sweden and those countries where they usually track the weeks by the week number. And I find that it's really useful because it gives me a more direct notion of how far along in the year we are. Because if I know that I have 52 weeks in a year, and I'm already on week 30, there's only 22 more to go, and that makes me get cracking. So that's why I do that. It kind of fragments the year in smaller chunks for me. Well, smaller. Yeah, smaller. It's a lot smaller than 12 months. Smaller chunks for me. It's kind of an idea of I have 52 weeks to improve my life. So how am I using this one? So I kind of try to make every week count for something. But yeah, that's just me. If you don't like that, don't do that. It helps to basically place myself in the year. And then I have the little boxes for each month or each day. And if you think that it's kind of silly to repeat the month calendar like on 2 pages that are side by side, I agree with you. I understand. This is solely for aesthetic purposes. Yeah, I'm that kind of person. It just makes it a lot more symmetrical. It allows for symmetry in both pages, and so that was a purely aesthetic decision. But yeah, I wanted to be a bit more minimal as far as the spreads go for the weeklies, like to not have a lot of drawings going on in between the boxes for the days, but I do enjoy having some drawing like corners or borders or something, just for aesthetic purposes. Again, aesthetic layouts make me more productive and will effectively make me come back to the bullet journal because I just enjoy looking at it. If I'm opening it to look at it, I will fill it out. Yes, I'm a person motivated by very basic instincts. But yeah, I don't know. It makes me happy, and if it makes me happy, I'll do it again. And there we are with the final flip through. Really happy with this. It's both calm and cute and colorful and fun. And I hope that you guys enjoy this theme, and that maybe this video and my rambles gave you some ideas for things that you would like to try on in your bullet journal, or things that you would like to experiment as far as habits go. I do have the other weeklies page set up. I set it up off camera because it's basically the same as the other one. So I thought, you know what, let's do it outside. And yeah, guys, thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye!